is now my great privilege to invite our guest speaker, Paul Platen, to the podium. Paul is the Principal Public Key Infrastructure and Identity Management Consultant for SSS IT Security Specialists and leads a team of cybersecurity engineers. Apart from his love of technology, Paul is passionate about skills development and making cybersecurity more accessible to young people of all backgrounds, which includes making it a career option for people that do not have an IT background. Paul imagines a world where skills development in cybersecurity can break the intergenerational cycle of poverty, one bite at a time. I see what you've done there, Paul, good. And one person at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Paul Platen.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Paul Platen tōku angoa, no te whanganui a tāra aho, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. It's an absolute pleasure to be speaking here this afternoon, and you may ask why this person standing here. I never thought I'd have the privilege of speaking to a bunch of graduates that have overcome so many things before I even managed to get my Bachelor of Laws degrees finished for the last 7 years. So you're ahead of me. But what I want to do is acknowledge your achievement today. Your mahi and your determination that got you this far, because you have an expansive support network. And I want to recognize the support of your whānau, the support of your teachers and tutors, those that fed you, those that kept you company on those late nights, those that gave you a shoulder to cry on when you couldn't anymore, and those who wiped your tears away. It is because of them that you are here. We are living in exponential times, times where you are being prepared to take up jobs and careers that probably don't exist yet. It now takes seconds for us to get a message right across the world. We live in a time of deep fakes, fake news, new currencies, new wallets, and we are experiencing the advent of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and things like remote process automation. We are able to do things like remote medical diagnosis, where we can take a patient that is in Africa and we can diagnose their condition in New Zealand, and we can put up a treatment for them from Canada, and then we can operate on them from Japan. How amazing is this time that we are living in right now? And all of that enabled because of the time that we are living in. But how did I get here? As we talk through, I'd like to leave you with just 3 things. That as you leave behind this part of your learning, and you move into the portion of where you're hopefully going to be earning, that you use this in your path on your new journey. So I started my career in the Navy. Right out of school, didn't have the opportunity to be able to have formal structured learning like you did, or to go to university or a polytechnic. No money, no opportunities. Regardless of this, I had an amazing 12 years in the Navy. And after that 12 years, I had to pursue a second career, a career in technology. So I went from the relative confidence that I had in my abilities for 12 years of knowing what an azimuth is and how to hide a submarine in layers of water, to understanding longitudes and latitudes and firing missiles. And then I went into a world of uncertainty where they spoke about things like Moore's law, Occam's razor, perfect forward secrecy, quantum cryptography, integer factorization. Gives me cold sweats right now still thinking about it. And I had to move into this world where I used to identify what enemy ships looked like and what their dangers were, to protecting users and machines on the internet. Totally opposite ends of the scale. One which I wasn't prepared for, one which I wasn't qualified for, where I had no degrees, no diplomas or certifications. I was afraid. And here I am embarking on careers with people that, who are wearing white lab coats, they've got thick glasses, they are cleverer by 100% more than I am. And here I am part of this thing. I had to ask myself the first question, which you have to ask yourself. What is the skills that I want to have? And what are the skills that I do have? How will I be successful, I asked myself, if I don't have a formal degree, as you do, and a formal qualification? I was in a world that was unknown and intimidating. I had some amazing skills. I could drive a ship, a multi-billion-dollar piece of equipment that they give me to potentially knock against something else and make lots of damage. I could fire a missile, potentially kill hundreds and thousands of people, but they trusted me with that. I could communicate using flags without saying a word. And that made me very confident because I could talk. I knew Morse code. Amazing, right? But not in my chosen career now. It meant nothing. And so I had to focus on the skills that I had to do that job. And that's what you have to do as graduates now. We don't brag about ourselves. We don't tell other people what we've achieved doing this. Words were used like resilience, perseverance, and those are skills that we in the industry and we in the employing world that we look at. What skills did studying give you? Let's think back about your studying and your career that you've had. Well, the one thing we know that we can do as students is that we can actually work under pressure because we are experts at procrastination. We can take a 2-month assignment and crack it down to 4 hours before it's got to be in. That's how good we are. And so our degree has given us this ingenuity and this ability to perform under pressure. We can prioritize. Do I go and party this weekend or do I go and study? Answer is party, right? Yeah. So we can procrastinate, so we can become good at pressure, right? We can manage money. We can live off 2-minute noodles because we want to go and have a party later or we want to buy clothes. We are resilient. You are resilient. And so we need to focus on the skills that you have right now, and that is things like communication, comprehension, information retention, research, the ability to learn new things, conflict management in your class. You have to do that. Prioritization. You have to ask, what are the skills that I have that this formal structured learning has given me? Speak to your skill, and that will make you successful. My father was a welder, an electrician, and a plumber. He was born in 1924, and as was custom those days, I'm not sure, he lied about his age to join the army. And so he joined the army, went to go fight in the war. He lived in a truly horrific time. He lived in a time and in a country where you and your abilities and the things and the places you could walk and live were judged by the color of your skin. He was brutalized and he was beaten into submission, as the entire country was, or parts of the population at that time. He was not allowed to qualify in his chosen trade because it was inconceivable at that point that someone of color would be in control and manage people who were not. Everything about the time that he lived in wanted him to be less than he was, wanted him to stay within his lane, wanted him to be submissive. They didn't know my father. Stubborn and brave. He became the best unqualified plumber, welder, and electrician that there was. He had a prestigious career in trade unions, and he influenced policies and politics, and he never gave up. And as I went into this new career of mine in technology, I had to ask myself a second question. What are the things that I need to unlearn? What are the things that I need to reject that society tells me I need to be? We need to reject the notion that you are too young to make a difference. You need to reject the notion that you're a woman and know nothing about technology or construction. You need to reject the notion that there's this thing called a glass ceiling and you've got to go and break it. Don't let anyone tell you you can't. Reject the thoughts that will restrict you when people say, just be happy with what you've got. Don't rock the boat. Don't go outside your lane. Stay inside there. Reject any thoughts that will restrict you. Instead of saying, why me, saying, I will. Act on your ideas. Do something about it. You know, right now there's an application on a mobile phone that allows you to find all the dog walking parks in a particular area. And it's aimed at people who own dogs. And that app is making money. And someone sat there and went, I don't know where the dog walking parks are. Let me make an app. There's a banking app in the UK which has got a thing called drunk mode and stops you from spending more money on a Friday evening than what you should. Where was that when I needed it and I was poor? Act out on your ideas. Let no one tell you can't be an entrepreneur. Let no one tell you that your ideas are stupid and won't work. Reject that thought and reject everything about it. I had to reject the people that says you have no degree, you have no knowledge in technology. Who are you to come here and say something to me? Reject the notion that cybersecurity and the world that we live in is a career exclusively for technologists and men. It's nonsense. A drama student, a nurse, a teacher, a tradie, a construction worker, an engineer, you all can pursue a career in technology. Reject the thought that I'm not enough. Reject the thought that says, I only have. And reject everything that will hold you back from greatness. There's a saying a popular saying that when I was growing up, that it takes a village to raise a child. We've all heard that. And where I grew up, every mother was your mother. And every father was your father. And when your friend did something wrong, you got a hiding as well. When there was litter in the street, you didn't say who threw it there, you picked it up. Everyone was your parent regardless of what the biology was. All that mattered was that you were raised in a way that was going to benefit the community. That you were going to be an important part of that community and what they need. The third question that you ask yourself is, now that I've achieved all of this, now that I've been successful, now that I'm graduating, what can I give back to my community? How do I pay this back? How do I pay back all the effort and all of the learning that I've got? How do I pump this back into my community? When you look at that contribution, you ask yourselves what skills you have. If you're a nurse, please, I'm encouraging you, go into your community. And let's wipe out the scourge of high blood pressure and diabetes and this negative attitude towards mental health. Wipe it out. You have the ability. If you're graduating in construction, go back into the marae, go back into the neighborhood and volunteer your time. And more importantly, mentor somebody else. Give them the opportunity that you have now. For many of us, it's the first in a family, in a lineage that is getting this chance. You need to pay that back. If you have a degree in technology, go and develop something that is going to help and benefit our tangata. You need to do that. Make lives better. If you're a teacher, volunteer to help people to read and write. Make sure that poverty doesn't stop our tamariki from achieving their capabilities and their potential. Champion the cause of the tangata. Champion the cause of the people. Break the intergenerational cycle of poverty that we have right now in our communities. Be a role model. And so in conclusion, as you embark on this journey of your graduation and your earning and your learning, ask yourself those three questions. What skills do I want to own? And what skills do I have? What restrictions must I reject from society? And what must I unlearn? And finally, what contributions can I make to improve the lives of my community? Your certification is in your degree. It's in your qualification. You may think of it now as a ticket to the good life. Let me please ask you to think of it as an alternative. Think of it as your ticket to change the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul Platen, for those very poignant and inspirational messages. I can totally relate.